Good afternoon, everybody. Scott with Pratt & Associates Realty. I have an article written by Anthony Phillips of Luxury Real Estate Advisors out of Las Vegas, Nevada. It's from a broker's perspective, but it's very well researched. There's a lot of things that he's presented about the NAR lawsuits and settlements and the Sitzer-Burnett case that's very interesting, and I think that we need to talk about. I have not talked about these settlements in the past because it's hard for me to. I have a fear that I may say something that violates license law or something, and instead of having tape over my mouth, I'd like to at least present some interesting observations from this article. It talks about media collusion with tech companies and some campaign collusions and actual tech companies colluding together in order to eliminate buyer's agency compensation. I also want to talk about Ricky Carruth, the #1 real estate agent in Alabama, and some of the changes in the forms. I will be taking a class fairly soon. I missed the last one because I was too busy working. I will be taking a class soon about the form changes, and regardless of the new rule changes, I still, as a broker, want to provide service to you and elevate your life and help make your life better through my actions. Let's get started. This is talking about the NAR settlement, Sitzer-Burnett case, and Michael Catchmark and his attorney and his law firm. Although Catchmark and alleged affiliated PACs, like campaign contribution PACs, generously contribute to various campaigns, we will focus on the Kansas City 6th District at Large and Taxpayers Unlimited, Inc. Councilmember Andrea Bowe, 6th District at Large, was elected in 2019 and re-elected in 2023. Councilmember Andrea Bowe is a spouse of Sitzer's presiding judge, Stephen Bowe. Stephen Bowe is believed to be a current member of the Board of Trustees at UMKC Law Foundation. Okay, just facts. Catchmark, an alleged significant contributor to Taxpayers Unlimited, Inc., and Sitzer's plaintiff attorney, Matthew Dameron, declined to provide a single contribution to Councilmember Andrea's campaign in 2019. Upon Judge Bowe's assignment to Sitzer, Taxpayers Unlimited, Inc. and Matthew Dameron, in a personal capacity, subsequently provided campaign contributions on up to 7 occasions, even in non-election years. That's the really tricky part, non-election years. I had something else that I really wanted to read, and it was good. It's a great article overall. I may tell you to go look this up because I'm a little afraid to actually. Here's one. Catchmark is known as a power player in Missouri. Michael Catchmark and his firm have donated more than $1 million to Democrats and Republicans over the past decade. Catchmark's brother is believed to be David Catchmark, a former U.S. attorney of Missouri, whose spouse is Judge Roseanne A. Catchmark. Judge Catchmark is assigned to Courtroom 8. And Courtroom 7 is assigned to Judge Stephen R. Bowe, who we just referenced in the paragraph above. And in his conclusion, he said this: "These lawsuits represent a deeply troubling and ethically dubious trajectory. The apparent collusion among prop tech firms, certain media outlets, and so-called expert studies are not just suspect, but reeks of a concerted effort to manipulate legal outcomes." A lot of this stuff wasn't around until this case came up, and it just somehow magically got funded. Anyway, this orchestrated effort seemed to have unduly influenced the Department of Justice's investigation, triggering a cascade of repetitive lawsuits across various jurisdictions. I'm not going to read this part because it's political. I know everyone will be upset if I do read it. This orchestrated legal strategy aimed at extracting an astronomical $100 billion in damages from around 182 named defendants is nothing short of a legal travesty. Okay. The requirement for each defendant to fork out a $10,000 retainer merely to respond imposes an exorbitant collective initial cost of $1,820,000, which increases exponentially to adjudicate, of course. This strategy, which borders on legal extortion, is egregiously unethical even by the standards of contingency-based law firms, reflecting a blatant abuse of the legal system for opportunistic financial gain. Guys, and the harmed parties in this case may get $200, maybe. Originally was advertised to them up to $20,000. Now that's reduced down to $200. I think this article was written a long time ago because I've heard as low as $40. While the attorneys will be making hundreds of millions of dollars. Our quote standard fees, and there is no such thing as a standard fee in real estate, our standard or the 6% pales in comparison to some of these fees up to 33%. I would highly advise you to research this article. But now, to go on to Ricky Carruth, I may attach that here. I feel like I can, but I mean, again, that's up to y'all. I kind of don't want to, just because I'm a little afraid to. I'm going to be honest, I'm afraid to. There's some very powerful attorneys out there who are on in my opinion, a massive money hunt. But in his video, Ricky talked about the new contracts, the new buyer compensation forms, and how your HUD statements or your HUD statements will be structured. But basically, it says that we cannot advertise like buyer's agency compensation on our MLSs, but we can advertise seller concessions, and seller concessions can include the listing agent's shared compensation with the buyer's agent, and that's what typically buyer's agency compensation was. It was in the contracts. You had seller agrees to pay agent X. Listing agent X. Listing agent agrees to share their commission of X, an X amount, to bring a buyer's agent in and to work with a buyer's agent. So basically, it was like subcontracting. I don't know how the language or how now having an MLS that doesn't have a zero option. Yes, that was wrong. They should get rid of that. I'm thankful for that. But to completely not allow, it's an attack on agents, really, to not allow agents to have to be able to advertise their commissions, but you shuffle the paperwork around, so now we can just say, hey, seller's concessions is this, and it does not create transparency at all in the process. Steering, you can argue steering, but as far as steering is concerned, if I wanted the most commission possible, why am I working with buyers from every single price point? I would only work with luxury real estate. I wouldn't work with someone who is looking for something below the market average. Or when I sold this year a $25,000 property and I only made like a couple $100, I wouldn't have worked with them. That's a waste of my time. But I had a client who talked to me and said, please help me. I have to sell this property. I don't have a clue what to do with this, and we don't want to touch it. They were a little bit older, and it's not even what they do for a living. They don't develop land or build houses. Please just help us get our money that we've lost over the HOA fees over the years, and just let us recover in property taxes, and just let us just go in peace. And that's what I helped them do. And I got the full price asking that they wanted. So anyway, that's just bragging away. I may try to talk about this more in a shorter TikTok. This is definitely going to go on YouTube, but I'm grateful that y'all watched it to the end. And let's please consider both sides. I understand where you're coming from. I get it. There's a lot of wealth envy out there, and they hate agents because they see them making this big fat check without actually seeing what agents go through to bring a deal to closing. But anyway, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but please consider both sides and consider what you're going to lose throughout this process, because in the end, it will be corporations, giant corporations, who will control the buying, financing, appraising, and even your eventual sale. And you will not have much options otherwise, because they have controlled A to Z. But if you have an advocate on your side, we can break you out of that. You don't have to be controlled. You can get what the market commands the price to be, not what they tell you they'll pay you. And that's the only buyer that will buy your property. No wait. I will give you multiple buyers. I will put this on the market and let the fish come to the bait. All right. Let's talk later, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.